Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I'm a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on February 26, 2023 at approximately 4:29 p.m. PST. Now, I returned to this world for one primary purpose, and that is to remind people that working together, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. The reason I call myself a spiritual guide is because the tools I offer are the exact same tools I personally live by, and the philosophies of life that I talk about are the ones I live by as well. Well, that came out really terrible, but in any event, welcome aboard. Now, the reality is, like I said, this is Sunday, so I've left it as an open topic, and of course, this morning got really badly scrambled to start with. Okay, so I didn't actually get as much sorted out as I should have, as in heads up that we were coming. Mind you, that being said, we are looking at the way this works. The way this works is that on Sundays, I'm coming in with an open topic to start with, meaning I haven't, because I game on Sundays until 3:30 usually. Today, I actually gamed until just after 4 o'clock. Needless to say, didn't exactly have a lot of time to get back in touch with things. So what I'm looking at here is just paperwork that I've got to have organized, or it would have been nice anyway. So I do hope the day has gone well, and here we have Nathan coming in with the gold. How you doing, Nathan? I forgot to find that. Hopefully your day has been productive. Now, right now, just trying to get things sorted around here. Yes, you did. Okay, and that one's up. Bonus, now I can actually see what's going on without leaning forward into it. Oh, where? I'm at work, so marginally productive, so yeah, no doubt. Hey, Christy Abels, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Today's been rather productive for my end. Didn't get things quite as organized as I would have liked, but, that's the way that works on occasion. That is not helpful. And frankly, neither is that one. Oh, yeah, sure, that was brilliant. Okay, so what do we got here? A nightmare. Oh, by the way, Christy, you've come in with the silver nightmare. You're in with the bronze. Hopefully things have been going well for you guys. I've been I've been striving to get some sort of a goal or not a goal, but a organized pattern in place. And thus far, not doing too terribly bad at it. Of course, don't have a pen handy for my life, but, working in an office, you'd think I'd have a pen handy. But if anybody works in an office, they know that's seldom the case. So that works out well. Hey, Dogface, and your Nightmare beat you to it. Nightmare is in with where are we here? Nathan, Christy Abels, Nightmare was in with the bronze, and Dogface, you come in with honorable mention here. So, getting things organized, which is a neat trick for me on occasion, but getting things organized, it boiled down to figuring out what day I was doing what. Now, I didn't get done. Hey, Joe, how you doing? I honestly didn't get to take a look at the take a look at the buy me a coffee routine I was going to do yesterday. Got a little sidetracked with some family complications, if you will. Now we go Monday. All I'm doing here is trying to get an idea for a schedule. Of course, I'm missing my whole list of topics, or is that? No, that's the list of books. So what happened to my list of topics I was working on? That is pretty much anybody's guess. Nope, it seems to have gone missing, which in my world is actually quite normal. But I don't actually need it right now because, like I said, today happens to be open. Meaning, any question, any topic, okay, just pop it into the chat room. And absolutely, if you would be kind enough to write it in all caps so I can find it, because it's not yelling at me. It literally boils down to going, hey, I've got a question. And I do my best to follow through with them, to catch up on them. So we've got we've got Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So we know Sunday is open. And yes, just to get started right off, I'll hop with that side of it. Where did I just put it? To get things in perspective right there. After this stream ends, okay, I will be turning around and doing another stream regarding Yldrbac itself and the way that's coming together. Okay. But, one of the biggest tricks with really getting your life back on track is deciding what you're content with. Okay, figuring out what's going to make sense from your end. Now, I am striving. I've got a lot of big area topics that I tend to work with. Okay, but like I've got what I'm looking at. Sunday obviously is open. And then I've got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday that I can do general. In general, as in, let's take a look at different alien races. Let's take a look at different techniques to bring your life back into your hands. There's an old saying that goes, people don't plan to fail, they fail to plan. Now, I will tell you this. I have done a bang-up job of failing to plan up until this point. So I figure it's time to get things organized. Now, for those of you that are in the chat room, and I will keep this open for a little bit, like I don't mean I'll keep this open for an hour or two, but probably for a few days to let people think about it. But some of the overall topics that I'm looking at dealing with is the various races. Okay, the consortium itself, which might all be the same thing. I'm not entirely certain. Okay, but let's get on. Maybe I should think before I speak. Like I said, we got finished about 5 after 10 after 4, and I had to get things turned around to get open for 4:30. Yes, I could have turned around and said, no, I'm going to postpone it for another half hour. But, I figured there's no way. Just keep it coming out the right point. It just means I got to get organized properly for next Sunday before I start gaming. The neat part about it is once you've got a battle plan in place that you can think about, once you've got that in place, then you can start modifying things to make it work, to make your life work in your favor. Okay. And it really boils down to what are you content with the way your life is going right now? Okay. Don't you love this? This is what my kids gave me. My people skills are just fine. It's my tolerance of idiots that require my tolerance to idiots that requires work. Okay. Now, this boils down to one very simple issue. Okay. When I'm dealing with people and they're making really, really stupid moves. Okay. You have to wonder, why did you do that? Never mind what were you thinking. How about were you thinking? Now, when I talk about any topic, guys, I do literally mean whatever topic it is. If I know an answer to it, I will give you an honest answer. If I don't, I will honestly tell you I don't know the answer. But here's where you may desire to look. Okay. Now, one of the things that I do make a point of doing, and I'll end up doing this a lot tonight, when I get done all the video tonight, I will immediately start writing again. Hey, Kimberly, how you doing? Glad you could join us. We've got a pretty lax schedule today, primarily because of the fact that on Sundays I just, in case you hadn't noticed, don't really have much time to get things organized. More to the point, I didn't organize myself properly. So net result, I'm a little scattered. Okay. But what I'm looking at here, just trying to figure out if there's actually a way of scheduling things properly. Where are we? Avi May, how you doing? I don't think I've seen you in here before, so thank you very much for joining us. For sharing your time with us. And I do this to most of the people that come in when I catch them. If you've got a question in any area at all, in any field at all, it doesn't matter what field. Okay. I mean, I've talked to people in virtually every task in the metaphysical world. Of course, hopefully you're already aware. The other specialty, the other focus I have is on alien races, ships, their interactions and motivations. JCL, how you doing? Now, Avi, if you have a question, do me a favor. Whatever question it is, no problem. Okay, you just put it in all caps, because quite frankly, when it's in all caps, it's like waving your hand saying, hey, I've got a question, please. It's not in this chat room. It is not considered yelling to put it in all caps. It's simply a way of making certain that I can, at least in giving me a better shot at spotting the questions, because I do miss them. One of the big things I will tell you, that I will tell all of you, and I've done this before. I had somebody contact me the other day. Right. For the last 5 years, I've been letting another company do my advertising. Right. Talk about a dense move. But the other day, I had somebody contact me. Not only did they order the children's book, Mr. Dreamcatcher, but they ordered a copy of the sequel, Mr. Dreamcatcher Returns. Now, Avi has a question here. Avi goes, okay, I've had a lifetime of UFO, paranormal, cryptid. I'm 59. I'm 59. I cursed myself 29 years ago. Now, to be honest with you, I don't know what AMF stands for. I am not the brightest when it comes to the short terms here. Okay. Now, odd question. There's sort of a couple of things we have to look at there. Okay, you said you cursed yourself 29 years ago. Okay. And then she ties it off and goes, and my life stinks. How do I undo all of that? Oh, okay, not a problem there. I understand that, I've just gone, it's my chubby fingers. My dad had chubby fingers. Keyboards did not work for him. I have the same problem where it comes to cell phones. But first and foremost, and this, I kid you not, this does work. The issue of cursing yourself, you probably set something in motion, but it's not undoable. Okay, you can either do this right now, okay, or do it when we get done the stream, or when you choose to. But what you do is you literally walk over to whatever reflective surface you like. I'll show you something. Like I said, I'm a little twisted here. Or maybe I'm a lot twisted. I don't know. Okay. I mentioned that I mentioned to other people, I play with these silly little things. When I talk about a reflective surface, Now this one I've got to get cleaned up. But you'll notice it's got a little bit of a reflection. Like I said, I play with odd things on occasion. Okay. But you take a reflective surface. You look directly into the reflective surface. Look into the eyes of the lady looking back at you. Okay. You look into the eyes of the lady looking back at you and you literally tell her, I forgive you for everything you have done and everything you feel you may have done to hinder my personal growth and happiness. Okay, now this has been known to work on countless occasions. Bear in mind, I've got in excess of 110,000 clients under my belt in the last 49 years of working. Okay, so when I say where it has worked countless times, this is a standard method. You look in the eyes of the lady looking back at you. And quite frankly, if you're a guy that's looking, the odds are you're looking in the eyes of the guy looking back at you. You literally tell them, I forgive you for everything you have done and everything you feel you may have done to hinder my personal growth and happiness. In this way, you're taking all of the negative side of it and putting it behind you and going, okay, I'm done beating myself black and blue for one miscalculation. Okay, that's the easiest way to do it. Now, I can give you all sorts of complicated ones. Curiosity, but did you actually desire a complicated way of curing the problem? Absolutely, it does, Nathan. This is one where, and pardon me, but I'm going to do two things here. One is, where is that fine little file? That one. One is we're going to go down here and I'm going to copy that and pop it in here. This is Dave's show. Okay, they aren't Dave's, my apologies. This is Nathan's show, the Quantum Show. And this is where I'm going to steal one of your lines there, Nathan. This is where I can literally say, when you do this, when you look in the eyes of the lady looking back at you or of the guy, or for that matter, if you happen to be a dog looking back at you, that works too. Okay, assuming you speak canine. And if you're a dog that doesn't speak canine, we may have a complication. But this is when we really do look at it there, Nathan, and go, and actually go, now we are going quantum. Yes, I'm stealing that from you for this particular issue. But then you set it up. Okay. So that will cut through any of the different vibratory rates you're getting that you're in. Okay, considering you're only in the third dimensional, it puts a bit of a kibosh on other dimensions. But I'm still trying to figure out if this is just simply a terminology problem I'm running into. Okay, but this stops it all. It right then and there puts an anchor on it and says, nope, I'm not beating myself up black and blue anymore. Okay, which will enable you to move forward. Hey, world, how you doing? Glad you could join us. And we do have to make certain of this. I got to get this sorted out. And, I miss having 4 screens. But since I do have only 4 screens, I kind of got to work with it. Now, again, this here is World Bigfoot. Now, I'll tell you, you want to listen to somebody that's got a lot of really neat stories where it comes to, or neat encounters, neat reports, where it comes to Bigfoot. This is the place to go. Okay. We do have a secondary one because BMR here, Bigfoot Michigan Rob, also has a Bigfoot radio station as well. Whoop, there's Worlds. And this is Bigfoot's and Bigfoot Michigan Rob's. And by the way, there, Avi May. Okay. everybody else, everybody that comes in this room, I tell the same thing to. Okay, if you happen to have a YouTube channel, absolutely, in any one of the contact points below this video, get in touch with me and get your email, your channel, your social media channel to me, and I will do my best to share it with people. Okay, and of course, this one is somebody that is very much a primary access to me. Okay, and one of these days I really have to talk to him again. Things have been just a little hectic. But this is Dave. Okay, this is Spaced Out Radio, and he is where I got really pushed. Oh, now that one, that's tonight there, World. Now, I gotta ask, because I'm allowed to. On that show tonight, what time is that show going? And yes, I'm allowed to do this. That's the nice part about it. I don't have a whole lot of limits. Other than there are certain topics I won't look at. Bigfoot is certainly not one of them. Oh, you're more than welcome there, Nathan. Where are we? Copy. This, if you're looking, 8 Central, bonus. Now, it comes on 8 Central, so it comes on, that's why you keep leaving early. I appreciate that, Nathan. I do my best to do that here. Needless to say, I'm not as versed in it as many of you guys are, but I'm learning. This is, when I'm talking about the books that I write, that is the site. Okay, rkeithandrews.com is the site that's got all my books listed. And yes, Abby, right now, I actually have 7 books actually in print. Okay, all of which can be ordered through me, all of which can be ordered utilizing PayPal. And I got to find that. I did that again. Go here and grab my... That's World, okay. And this is the email address that I use to get into PayPal. Okay, if you're looking to order through PayPal, this is how to do it. Now, that same email address is the same one if you're in Canada. I do deal with direct deposit through that email. And I'm missing one other chat room here. So I'm going to get that one up while I'm thinking about it. And that's this one here. And Nikki will be in a little while, I suspect. We usually find her hiding around in here somewhere. Okay. But this is Nikki's channel. Okay. Called Restore Belief. Now, let's see. Yeah. Joe's just going, I never want a man that is with a woman to stare back at me in an unpleasant way. Yeah, no doubt. You start looking in the mirror and you get somebody looking back at you, you may have a bit of disconcertion there. Okay, my first question when that happens is, so that's where the way I usually look at it, somebody shows up, I'm like, oh, so that's where you disappeared to. And I'm sitting there going, were you planning on staying or you care to come back out here and join me? The thing is, my dad used to worry because I don't fear the metaphysical world at all. And that was what always concerned him. Now, of course, I'm only a little way into the show, but I am trying to get better at this. Well, I'm getting better at it is more to the point. Okay. Number one, if you like the show, do me a favor and give us a thumbs up. Okay. If you, and of course, if you do like the way the stream is going, hit that funny little subscribe button in the bottom right-hand corner. Don't forget to hit the alert button to let you know when they're coming on. Okay, because sometimes I don't actually get things organized early in the day and say, hey, I'll be on a little later. Okay, but absolutely, if you would be kind enough, share the daylights out of it. Okay, because the reality is, my message to the world is simple. Working together, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. Now, yeah, right now, I think I've got, what do I got? 7, I think. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, I've got seven sites that the people coming here on a reasonably regular basis, okay, almost every day in all fairness, that I do give a shout out to, because to my way of thinking, you're supporting me by coming into the room. Okay. You're validating my time, if you will. You know, things are changing in this world. Now, we can certainly look at the way everything went sour. Okay, if you'd like, we can absolutely spend a day just complaining about how bad things are. Yeah, I'm over here because something dawned on me. This little thing here, that's my calendar. That better be the right calendar. Yeah, I end up doing this. It just kind of works out that way. 23, okay. So that can go in here to see calendar. Of course, now I'm looking at this going, the sheet that I had out here apparently is not going to cooperate. But that said, guys, if you have a topic, honestly, Abby, that's very much the case. What it boils down to is this. This world, now I've talked to people about past lives before. I remember a lot of mine. Okay, but this world was designed for people to experience, for spirits to experience the material world with very limited senses. Okay, the other issue there was that the world was designed so that people could experience the physical world, the third dimension, only the third dimension here. Okay, in a family unit. Now, a family is simply designed as, or dictated as, 2 adults of whatever race, whatever gender. There is no boundary on that. Raising as many different people, or guiding as many different people in that household, okay, from any species they desire. Okay, this is what family is. Yes, the term blood is thicker than water is true. Okay, if you've ever poured water on the ground, on a table, and put your hand in it, yeah, it's wet. But if you pour blood on the table, it's thick, it's oily. It can be oily. It's certainly a little sticky. I don't recommend putting a lot of blood around personally. Okay, I mean, for me, hey, it's a different way of looking at things, but I don't worry about it too much. What you may not be aware of, Bobby, okay, and I don't think I put him in here, but I might have. Actually, they should be in this one. Okay. Just, whoops. Human, Kamalian. Nope. They are in the second book. Okay. This book has 59 different races I personally deal with. Now, this is a reference manual. It covers societal structures, belief structures, what humans call them. Okay. And it's not always what you might think. But I am in the middle of writing Volume 2, which already has another 45 or 50 races in it, not the least of which is the Caboran. Now, the Caboran race is what some planets are. Now, not all planets are Caboran, but all Caboran are planets. Okay, they all have their own way of looking at the world. The answer there, Alvy's just asking, does your ancestry influence how sensitive one is to supernatural? Okay, and the answer is yes. Because the cell structure, because your body contains the DNA of the sensitivity levels, it does have an effect. It does not mean if there's nobody in your past that recalls having that ability, this does not mean you won't. But your ancestry has a play in it. Trauma has a play in it. Belief structure and training has a play in it. All of these can make things better. Yeah. What do we got here? World's just going. Hey, Shadow, how you doing? Glad you could join us. World's just going. So, like Eagle Prime in the Marvel comic universe, Fantastic Four fought him years ago. Honestly, from that standpoint, what have we got? Yeah. Honestly, I don't, because I did not follow the Fantastic Four that much. But when you're talking about alternate prime realities, okay, yes, the multiverse does exist. Okay, and the multiverse is called multi because there is literally no way of calculating the differences. Okay, every single decision that every single person makes creates another reality. But here's the thing that people miss. Okay, the fact that that reality exists does not mean that you can move from this reality, from this rendition, to that one. Okay, you cannot move to a parallel universe. If that were to happen, okay, the cataclysmic shutdown would absolutely decimate the third dimension, not just this planet. Okay, so no, you can absolutely imagine what it would be like. You can dream about that sort of thing. You can feel like you came from a different place, but I'm telling you, and I'm not the authority on this, okay? Well, maybe I am. I don't know. You get to figure that out. Okay, but when you take a look at it, okay, you can think about how you would like to be someplace else. And you can draw on that kind of concept for absolute. Oh, thank you so much, Philip, and welcome on board. Glad you could join us. Always get a kick out of it, Philip. You come in with some of the most bizarre and, shall we say, obscure pieces of information. But I know with some of the stuff, and much of the stuff that you bring to the table, I'll go and check it up later. And it's like, okay, now, where did you find the time to go through that? Okay, Philip just said to decimate, to reduce by 10%. Okay, so I mean, all in all, when we take a look at things, and it would be a lot worse in that case than a 10% drawback, reduction. The reality of it is that I already have seen the way this goes. It has happened before. As a matter of fact, that's why it cannot happen now. Because the gentleman you would consider God, okay, or gentlewoman, or whatever you want to call it, okay, once the mistake was identified, and yes, God makes mistakes. It's funny, but he does. Just take a look at the size of the pit in the olive. I mean, I'm thinking that was a little bit overdone. But when we are looking at how ancestry impacts, okay, we have to remember that first and foremost, okay, the way that the higher sensitivity can come, you're born with it. In other words, your ancestry played a role in it. You go through trauma, and by the way, birth is trauma. Okay. Well, that's just it, Nathan. This is why I say I'm not perfect, but I will tell you, going from one dimension to another is going to create a problem. Okay. Do understand when we are taught, there are some ways that things can look very similar to that idea. Okay. But, and I will come back to that thought. Yeah, I'm going to get myself scared if I don't do that. Okay. When we're looking at trauma, that will enhance spiritual awareness. Now, the most common is you're born with it. Second, technically second is puberty. It'll kick in. Menopause or pedopause and trauma. All of these amplify the odds. Okay. Now, there have definitely been odd things happen to a lot of people. Okay. And we've discussed such neat little things like time travel, that sort of thing. Now, Nathan was just saying, oh, Keith, not so sure you definitely cannot jump realities. Raven and I have had a few things happen. Her, the mailboxes, me, the interstate, and a few others. Now, do understand something very important, depending on what we're from and what the event was. I have covered distance in the third dimension. Okay, where I covered a distance in literally 45 seconds that would have meant I had to be traveling about 400 miles an hour. Okay. Yeah, Philip's just saying in Buddhism, in Zen Buddhism, they talk about post-traumatic growth. And they have a lot of very beautiful metaphors too. Absolutely they do. And trauma will cause a sudden growth. Okay, but when we're talking about jumping realities, okay, because realities are a real strange setup. And the one thing that concerns me with the idea of it is that many people, if you're jumping between realities, everything destabilizes. Okay, and this is just, you just have to look at it from the question of how are things going to maneuver. Okay, if you jump from one reality in a reality where everything is going in your favor, if that happens, then you're really playing havoc with the odds. Okay, now that said, can you keep focused on a different reality? Absolutely, and in doing so, this is a side of functional manifestation. You imagine what you don't and what you'd like to see change. You first of all identify what you're not content with. Doesn't matter what it is. Okay, identify anything you're not content with. Then, once you've identified it, then you turn around and start looking at the different things that you've got access to, the different things that you can modify in order to ensure that you're not walking down that same path. Okay, but by concentrating on the things that you are not content with in your life, it is absolutely imperative that you turn around and go, okay, I'm not content with that. So what am I going to do to modify it? What am I going to do to make sure I don't continue down that path? Okay. How we doing, Carl? Glad you could join us. I do hope your day has been going well. I've noticed, like, I'm looking at this and I end up scratching my back, which is fine, you know. But I get it. I look at it. I was told I did a live interview one day, and I don't know when it's coming out on TV. I'll let you guys know when I have an idea. That's not a bad idea at all there, Nathan. Like I've said, like I've told people, you have some of the weirdest topics that come up on occasion, but it's great. And you always, Nathan always approaches it with absolute, honest integrity, which is really one of those things that is rare in today's world. Okay. But personally, Nathan, I would absolutely encourage you to do so. Because let's face it, there are some things you find that you follow or some things that you research that just don't fit anywhere but in the quantum realm. Okay. Now, it's very much like I'm wondering if if you're still here, world. We had a really neat situation today. Okay. When I was gaming today, we've got 3 of us gaming, well, 4 of us with the Game Master. But some of the stuff we were running across today was just absolutely fantastic. So what we're looking at here, pick what you're not content with. This is now the time to change the way this world is working. And this idea of letting things continue going down the road they've been going down is a little overstated. Okay, now think of it this way. When you think about a situation, in your opinion, is it easier to change a mental perception or a mental mindset? Or is it easier to change the physical layout of the area you're living in? Okay. And I will tell you, thinking about doing something is not as powerful as doing it. If it were, do you really think if we could just think about it and have the world straighten itself out, like, gee, I can imagine a world with no famine. If it were that simple, is there anybody that you know of that would say, hey, we shouldn't do that because I'm enjoying starving? Okay, I don't know about you, but I'm not overly happy with the starving thing. I do have this portly posture to worry about. I mean, how the heck am I going to get that if I have to start starving? Whoop. Yeah. Philip, most people, literally most people, have at least one lifetime where they were a member of the different sex than they are this lifetime. And bad news, people, you got 2 physical genders. Okay, take a look at the anatomy. Never mind what people relate to. Okay, but most people, as a matter of fact, I've only found myself in all the past lives I've looked at. Not in a single one of them did I come in as a female. Well, if we go back here, I was 246 pounds. It looked like I was packing around a basketball. Absolutely right there, Joe. And remember, Joe's just saying, Philip, start a dream journal. It will help you. And he is absolutely right. I've done it for years. Okay. Doesn't necessarily mean it's a good idea. I've done a lot of things for years. Did a lot of things that didn't actually add up to a good idea. Not the least of which was ketchup and ice cream. Really, really, really bad idea. But when you go to start a dream journal, all you do is when you get up in the morning, immediately, if you wake up and you were dreaming, immediately grab a sheet of paper or your journal. You write down the time you woke up, okay, and at least in point form, write down the things you remember. If all you remember is that you were running, write it down. Okay, because by writing it down, you'll be able to remember more of it. Now, the funny part about it is you're going to desire the name on or the date on that same journal entry, but don't worry too much about getting the date on it right then. Get the memory started. Once you've got the point form superstructure done, you'll be able to track down the rest of it. That's a cute thought, Philip. No, I think I gave birth to a basketball. But no, I came to the conclusion that I was not going, like when I stepped on the scale and found myself at that weight approximately a year ago, I went, I am not hitting 250. It's just not going to happen. So I immediately started tracking it backwards, and started keeping close eye on it. Now, what ended up happening was I went from 246 down to 230, and I fluctuated back and forth there for a bit. Then I dropped down under 210. And then sometime near the end of November of last year, I ended up getting a little ill and dropped 10 pounds and broke the 200 that I was aiming at breaking before the end of this year. Before the end of last year. So right now, I'm now sitting in the mid 190s, and I'm aiming. I am striving to break the 190, and before the end of this year, get to 180. Okay. One of the things you'll find with dream journals is they help you get focused on things that are changing. And I will tell you that's kind of a necessity in today's world. Now, when we talk about dream journals and what have you, a couple of things to keep in mind. Come back up here and we go to J. Oh, nope, don't want to do that. I want to go to, where is that? Race of the world, probably under I. ISBN. Trying to remember where the heck I put it. Yeah, I'm over here in a filing cabinet. I'm still a dinosaur. Okay, this is what I wanted. Is that by any chance the other sheet? Nope. Okay, when we're talking about a dream board, now most people when they have a dream board, they put it up on the wall. Okay, I keep mine in my filing cabinet. Okay, but what you do is now I strongly recommend you take 12 projects that you desire to finish by the end of 2023. Okay, now I've got my 12. Okay, listed. Now that's 6 on each side. I don't expect you to be able to read it because frankly, I'm not holding it close enough. Okay. I'm just scanning through what's going on cross current here. Because quite frankly, and that's the other thing, if you're still here, Ava, people call cross current a lot of, like, when there's topics going on inside the chat room that people are having. My opinion on it is, as long as you're getting along, okay, if you're sharing, and as they do in this chat room, supporting each other to work through things, this is what this is all about. Okay. So don't panic on that one. Okay. But yeah, you write down in point form just the big goals. Okay, like for instance, I intend on bringing my weight down to 180. Okay, being able to curl 25 pounds, on free weights. Hey, Carlito, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Okay, I'm also going to rebuild my left-hand writing. Okay. And then one that is the physical side of getting my life in order, getting my mental state in place, my finances, and removing all the clutter you see. Now, I realize this doesn't look bad right now, but I've been working pretty hard at it. Okay. I am looking at getting Yldrbac Book 12, The Return to Paradise, out. Oh, okay. It depends. And the one question I got for you there, Philip. Philip's just gone, I want to create a workout habit this year. Okay, I'm not sure how to go about it, but I keep hearing this CrossFit is addictive. Okay, I will tell you what I did. Okay, and it's a pretty lackadaisical thing. Depends on whether or not you feel that you're self-motivated enough to do it at home, or if you feel it would be more effective to go to a gym. Ange, how you doing? Glad you could join us today. I know you've been really busy, so I hope things are going well. Okay, but if you're looking at an exercise routine, set your goals. Like always, start with simple goals. Okay, now where is it? There it is. Now I just finished saying that I'm aiming at being able to curl 25 pounds. Okay, but I wanted to make sure that I didn't create a problem, right? So what I did, no, I'm not going to do a workout here. I started off with a 5-pound weight. Actually, I think it's 7. Okay, started off with a 7-pound weight. Now this is this is clearly it's free weights, but for me it works like a charm. Okay, so I start with that, run that for a week, and all I do myself is I'll take that and I'll simply start with 5 repetitions. That's it. Okay. Again, it's a question of doing things one step at a time. Then add more weight as you go along. And I don't have bigger weights here. Yeah. Somehow I don't think that's going to happen right about now. That is my biggest problem. That's not my biggest problem, but I agree with you there, Philip. But if you can get a hold of free weights, you've got a couple of options. Okay. Like, yes, free weights work like a charm. Yes, I actually don't think I've got the full dumbbell. But if you don't have this kind of a weight, okay, all you got to do if you don't have the money, for instance, to pay for dumbbells, which frankly there's a lot of people that don't, but virtually everybody will come across an ice cream bucket at some point. In my case, I come across an ice cream bucket way too often. This is one of the reasons I gotta watch what I'm eating. By the way, put ketchup on ice cream, I tell you, it'll stop you from eating it for a while. At least it did me. But, what do we got? World goes, Philip, do curls with deer and coyotes in. That could be really fun. Assuming that they're actually cooperative. Okay, but you start off, like I said, I started off with only 5 pounds. Right, but I do have to get back. I didn't do a thing with it in January. By the way, procrastination will not get anything accomplished, except for a growing list of things that you wish you had done earlier. Okay. Now, so when we take a look at things, if you're aiming for a practical experience, okay. Now, I am no gym teacher by any functional stretch. Let's face it, I tore my leg apart when I was 12. Kind of ruined the whole idea of going into I'm going into exercise as a profession. Okay. But if you start with low, slow reps, okay, In other words, this idea of I'm going to do 25 reps, and just really quick, yeah, you'll get to the 25. But if you want true muscle growth from what I've understood, and do not take my word for it, go out and double check through your own sources. Where are we here? Yeah, World Just Gone. I like to paint hill giant miniatures when Keith is on. Working on Hill Giant right now, and Hill Giant 4 right now. Tomorrow, I'm going to go looking for the horses that I require. Yeah, I think I showed you guys my Hill Giant, did I not? Oh, there you go, Ange. I set foot in a gym. I tried going to a gym for an exercise program and found two problems with it. One, I had to leave the house. And that just doesn't work if you don't want to leave the house. Getting to a gym becomes majorly problematic. The nice part now, I myself found doing squats isn't going to work because I can do one or two and then my knee dislocates. Takes all the fun out of it. But yeah, what you do is remember, and this is just what I've heard, and obviously, by all means, and in your case, when we're talking about gym, if you know something, absolutely feel free to step in with proper educational information. Because the reality is, I know what I do, and I know what works for me. Okay, but do I know exactly how to do things for everybody else? No. But everything I've heard is you work is that you work major muscle groups for the legs on one day and for the arms on the next. So you don't tire the muscle out. Okay. I was also told that if you do the reps really slow, like instead of going 1, 2, 3, 4, you go 1, just go up slowly. Okay. 2. The reason for it is because by putting that slower weight and the slower curl, you'll work the muscle more effectively. I have not heard that name in a very long time there, World. World's just saying, where are we? DDY yoga. Yeah. What is DDP yoga? Okay. And World comes back and says, Diamond Dallas Page yoga. I didn't even know he was into yoga, in all fairness. Last I knew, he was a wrestler. And that was years ago. Hey, Big J, how you doing? Glad you could join us. I love the fact that things are picking up pace here. We have a very big task ahead of us to get this world turned to work the way that it can. Now, 50,000 years ago, this world did not have, this world did not have war, jealousy, or famine. 50,000 years ago, we got it right. And it also did not, by the way, have prejudice. But somewhere along the line, things got really screwy. And now we've got a mess on our hands. And this is why I tell people, it's time we start sharing. It's time we actually start talking to each other. Now, the neat part about all of this is many of these topics that we're talking about, when I tell people everything is connected, I kid you not. Now, I showed you this little book. Now, this is a reference manual. But the races contained in here, many of them from a social standpoint, are run into in this saga. Okay, in the Yldrbacian Chronicles. Okay, many of these races are further detailed where you have social interaction. Okay. Now, that said, Carlito, the nice part, and I'll show you this. This is the one thing I had a major problem with the company I fired. Okay. I always got to look at it to figure it out. This is the birth of the wolf pack. Okay, and you'll notice there's a border around it. Well, this is the sequel. Okay, the end of an epic. That's the sequel to the birth of the wolf pack. And the thing is, when you take the sequel and you put them together, okay, you'll notice they actually form a complete picture. Okay, now all 12 books when they come out all fit together to make a solid picture. Okay, so I'm working on getting them all sorted around properly as well. But these, as a matter of fact, all 7 books that I've got are all available on, like, at my website. Okay, and the website I've been using, and let's get that up there again just because I can. This is the website that will tell you the different books and the synopsis. Okay, this is the website here. Now, some of them, they have, they've turned around and got hot links to them. Okay, some do not, but all of the books. Okay, every book that comes out of my hands is number 1, is signed. Okay, if it comes through my hands, it is signed. And this is the email address to use to get in touch with me to order one. It's also the email to turn around and utilize to get through PayPal. As I said, if you're in Canada, then I do take that same email address, works for direct deposit. Okay, if you're in Canada only. Okay. But I found it quite accidental that it came out that way. Oh, where are we here? Oh, nice there. I did not realize that, World. World just said that they went through a couple of years of very painful therapy just to get out of a wheelchair. And then was able to use canes to walk for another year and a half. And now you're going with only one cane. This is fantastic. Okay. Absolutely fantastic. I still can't do that, Like, I walk around on a cane. You should see this is, and I'm just going to go get this because I can. Besides that, it gives me a reason to get up. See, I wore out 4 canes before I had this one built. But I got a master woodworker to build this one for me. Okay. I don't think this one's ever going to wear out. Because quite frankly, that's Purple Heart. The red color is Purple Heart. The yellow stripe, this is custom made. Right. The yellow is Yellow Heart. And it's all like, this is hardwood. But running all the way from about there to about there. Okay. About that distance. That's a 3/4 inch steel rod. To make sure I didn't wear it out. Okay. I don't know about you, but the reality with my leg is a cane is kind of a necessity. Now, I gotta ask Abby. Okay, you said Arthur's transformation story never gave up on DDP. Okay, and honestly, I've never tried. I've never bothered. Okay, because of the fact it is just a cane, the reality of it, well, what is that? Yeah, well, yeah, it could do that quite nicely. The neat part about this is because of the fact that I actually have never been trained to use it, I've never asked whether it's got to be registered. It is solid enough to hurt. But in all fairness, in my opinion, like, first and foremost, we got to remember, I am, without a shadow of a doubt, I'm a pacifist. Okay. I feel there are four places where violence is acceptable. Okay. And only four. I think there's only four. There's books. Okay. Have a happy make as much violence inside the pages of a story. As a matter of fact, if you look at this one, okay, in chapter 1, then we will in a couple of weeks be getting to chapter 1. But in chapter 1, there is a fight that starts. Okay. In chapter 2, there is a very, very graphically oriented combat scene. 10-1 odds against what turns out to be the pacifist in the party. Okay. So writing does have, violence in writing, have a happy, violence in movies. Okay. Absolutely knock yourself out. Go and have them. The action movies are fantastic. Okay. Violence in your dreams, that's up to you. Dreams don't usually get out to the world. And of course, the other issue is when you're talking about mutually agreed upon combat sports, such as karate, taekwondo, this sort of thing. Okay. Now, the funny thing, I'm just looking at this world. You said, it's good for swatting rabid badgers away as well. Well, I'm lucky. See, I don't go out in the woods. And therefore, okay, since I don't go out in the woods, I don't have to worry too much about badgers. A-holes, that's another problem. Yes, Aikido is another one that is very much. Jousting, jousting, you kind of have to have a horse for, I think. But these are all violent sports that are fine as far as sports go. It's mutually agreed upon. It is, this is an issue where both parties are fully aware of it. Myself, I was literally told I could not take any form of martial arts training. It was absolutely forbidden by somebody of authority. I have no idea who said authority was, but the same people told me I was not permitted to ever take any form of psychology. Okay, so I didn't get into either of it, but it was the reasoning that was really twisted for me. Okay. They told me I couldn't go into sport, into any form of martial arts because, quote unquote, we are worried you will go out and systematically kill 8 people. Now, understanding that I grew up under 8 severe bullies, okay, the thing that caught my attention was not the number 8. It was the systematic thing. Because to me, systematic always meant one step at a time. Take out one to get to the next. The answer there, Joe, 12 years old. I took to the cane at 12 years old. I destroyed everything from about 3 inches above my knee to about halfway down my shin in a bicycle accident. Then I landed on concrete and gravel. So of course, the problem was with my temper, I was told, where it came to martial arts, it was literally, we are afraid you will systematically go out and kill 8 people. Where it came to psychology, I was told you cannot take any form of psychology because we have enough professionals playing around inside your head. We don't need some amateur screwing it up. Now, what they were talking about, I don't know for certain. I do know that I spent a few years, well, I spent from, guess about a year and a half old to 5 years old in the MyLab in the military laboratories. Not a real enjoyable trip. Okay. Well, yeah, and that's the thing, world. My dad used to throw tomahawks. Of course, my dad would throw tomahawks with either hand. You know, and he goes, "How else?" Well, ultimately, yes, didn't work all that well. The funny part about it was it sort of backfired. Okay, the whole thing, like, to be bluntly honest, and no, I cannot prove this, but you might give an idea as to where things went screwy. Okay, and that is that I ended up going through this whole mess. Okay, and they told me, people started telling me you can't do this, you can't do that. That didn't work well. Okay, I ended up watching 197 of my friends get murdered in front of my eyes simply to bring my senses online. Much as I agree with your world, I also agree with Phil and with Philip here. Because World just said, I think all women should know some solid self-defense martial art. I do agree with you wholeheartedly. But frankly, so should men, women, women, men, boys, girls, doesn't matter. Knowing martial arts, and I do mean trained properly, where they train you to actually control your mind first. Because I'll tell you, the number of times that my mind has gone overload, it's really not a fun outcome. Oh, Ange goes, I can't do it if I'm going to do it. I'm hoping that's a typo. Oh, I forgot to hit enter. That's the email to get to my book, to get to my books, or to get to PayPal. Okay. Well, sorry, that email isn't to get to my books, but that email is what will get to PayPal. Okay, for either direct deposit or Phil, that's a bizarre idea. And the answer is no. And here's why. Okay. Unfortunately, because of the damage that I took, I had a fever when I was 20 months old of 108.4 that flash fried the hypothalamus and wiped out the hippocampus. Okay. Essentially physically splitting the brain. Now, the problem is when my stress level goes up, one of three organs shuts down. My knee, my right knee, my heart, or my lungs. And guess what happens when you try getting into a tickle fight? Okay, this becomes a really bad thing. Because my lungs stop, and well, that always causes cascade failure. Yes. And that's just it, Philip. That, Chuck Norris did a phenomenal amount of work for that line of reasoning, for that kind of thinking. Very much like Bruce Lee did. I remember talking to a kid one day, he was 12 years old. Okay. And he got into boxing. And I looked at him and I said, what would drive a 12-year-old to get into boxing? A combat sport that people are targeting your head. Okay. And, he looked at me and he goes, well, he says, I can't speak for anybody else. But he says, I have a severe temper problem. So when I have a problem, I go down to the gym. I go down to go boxing because I know I can relieve some of that stress. And the person getting into the ring with me knows I'm going to try and clean their clock. Okay. And that's just it, that's just it, Avi. When we look at the reality behind martial arts, I made the mistake. A friend of mine is getting into the MMA. And I'm looking at her. I was talking to her one day, and I laid out a situation. I said, "Look, there's a lot of things I now understand. I have never been trained in martial arts. Okay, like I said, I was forbidden. Absolutely agree with you there, Ange. You know, and again, you've got to find the right instructor, the one that will take the time to ensure the person gets the skills. Okay, and this is where a lot of people run into a problem. But I was talking to this friend of mine, and I looked at her because I didn't, my brain just goes off in a tangent on occasion. In case you hadn't noticed, I said, look, it's right. We're at 20 people in the chat room right now. This is one of those days that is really popping up nicely. Okay. All we require at this point is 8 more people in the chat room at the same time, and we break a record again. Okay. But I'm really happy with 20 here. But I laid out a situation, a couple of maneuvers. Now, like I said, I've never been trained. I laid out a couple of maneuvers, and I'm like, well, why don't you do this? And she goes, Keith, we are fighting, we are in the MMA, yes, but we're not actually trying to kill anybody. Yeah, now the only question I ever have, and absolutely, Ange, it's a decision you really have to make yourself. Nobody else can make that decision for you. Okay, nobody at all. Okay, I mean, they can tell you it's a bad idea. And absolutely, like for instance, if I were to actually go and look into game train, I was told this when I was a kid. Okay, and my temper was bad. Okay, ironically or fortunately, depending on who you talk to, I only ever hit 3 people out of anger in my life. I think it's only been 3 out of anger. And we take my brother, take family members out of the equation. No, I absolutely agree with you there, Ange. The reality is there's another one. Jiu-jitsu is not a good one. The other one that is not good for children, in my opinion, is ninjutsu. Okay. Now, and I mean ninjutsu taught the way that it used to be taught. Okay. But you're saying the thing that martial arts training does, if it is done right, is it will teach you how to control your movements, how to control your temper, and thereby how to control the energy around you. Okay, I love watching, and I honestly don't know which one it is. There's one that is very slow moving, and I don't honestly recall the name of it, but all it is muscle movement, muscle memory, as near as I can figure. Joe's just going, I once walked a girl home in the dark. She lived far away. I don't know what I was thinking at the time. I don't know how I made it home, but I did. Biggest mistake. Uh-oh. And that's just it. You can jump in and you can walk into a situation and not think it through. My dad had a really bad monthly habit. And he always told me it is better to walk away from a fight. Thank you very much there, Avi. Okay. Slow movement works really well. But no, my dad always told me it takes a much bigger man to walk away from a fight than it does to take a swing. Well, you got to remember, my father, he's gone now. But, hey, Dad, how you doing? Glad you could join us. And here we have Badman Elite. How you doing? What do we got going on here? Hey, Nutty, we've got people just coming in from all over the place. Now, whoever set that in motion, thank you so much for doing so. Okay, I'm just looking here. You're kidding. Holy mackerel. Guys, this is absolutely amazing. We have 70 people in the chat room right now. Okay. And the thing about this, from my standpoint, it really boils down to a simple point. Okay. We have to, if we're going to change this world, if we're going to get it back on track, okay, this is really hard to watch in one sense. I mean, I love it, don't get me wrong. But, when we look at this world, the world is going through an absolute horrendous, a really exciting shift. Okay, an absolutely phenomenal one. And together we can make this happen. And like I've told people, okay, I watch some of the reports. We've got people that will go on live, on live recording. They'll go on live and they'll go, the world is going to end. We're all going to die. Okay, we're going to suffer famine and war and land shortages, energy shortages, and yet we have millions and literally millions of people following this. And then you've got the other group that have literally, thousands of people, hundreds of thousands of people following, where somebody will sit down and play a video game. Okay. And this is absolutely, I'm looking at this going, I'm not competing with any of them. Okay. I mean, I look at it going, when I've got 1,000 subscribers, okay, that's when YouTube starts paying me. Okay. But for me, it's a question of get the message out to as many people around the world as we can get. And 6 months ago, I would have said, I've got no interest in it. As a matter of fact, about a year ago, I almost shut down. But let us see. What do we got here? I got to put this back where it came from before it gets lost. And we go back down. Whoop, ouch. That's release forms. Where is P? Just trying to get that back where it belongs. Okay. We have paper. There we are. Now, the thing is, what I'm looking to do, okay, is get a message out to people that is very simple. Okay. And that message is that working together, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. Now, what do we got here? Well, how you doing, Dancing Crow? I'm glad you could join us. I tell you, I really have missed a lot of you guys coming through. Honestly, when it comes to a troll, I have no idea how to identify them. Okay. The nice part, the one thing about this room, guys, is that when you're looking at when you have a question, if you have a question, regardless of the topic, tonight is an open topic. Any question goes. If I'm not going to answer it, okay, I appreciate that. They're, who is it? Incognito. Okay, and I know I'm going to sooner or later have to get one of you guys to come in and work for and really give me a hand at watching for that. Yeah, Tom Gully is a troll. Oh, okay. So this is the Tom Gully show, I'm presuming. Oh. Well, I'm going to do something very simple here. And we go here, we just drop him out of the picture. And we just hide him. And that should kill him. I should drop him right out of the area. Okay, because we don't need, the thing is, trolls from my standpoint, well, frankly, they regenerate. Okay. And, from my end, not a problem there at all. And who are we? Amy. Should look up there where I can actually see. Oh, Army Hill. You're more than welcome there, Army. With this room, I've always held, if you've got a question on any, on any topic, even if it's not one we're talking about at the time, from my standpoint, ask the question anyway. That's just the reality of it. Hey, world, thank you so much for joining us. And you got to head to your channel, absolutely. Now, obviously, I'm going to have to wait till I'm done here before I can get in. Okay, but I will drop in. No, I'll drop in for a little bit, but I've got another channel, another broadcast I'm doing as soon as it's, an hour down the road. Okay, but Susan, how you doing? Glad you could join us. The reality is people talk about let's try English here. They talk about changing the way things are. And from my standpoint, it really boils down to this. If you're not content with the way your world is going, it's time to start altering it. And that is where all of us can come in, Okay. Hey, Blue Flyer, how you doing? The reality is where it comes to that kind of a politic. Okay. Gee, how about if we stop that from moving? What do you think? Blue Fire just went up here. There. Just trying to find that little question. There we are. Now, Blue Flyer. Is NATO going to surrender? The reality is the way people are gearing things. Okay. The way people are gearing things. NATO is going with this idea of, it seems to be going with the same idea many people do, where it's a case of might is right. This is a place where communication is sadly lacking. It's not a question of surrender. Okay, it's a question of reaching a point where people are willing to talk. And that starts with the individual. Now, I did see a question here. Okay. And this is, thank you so much there, Ange. I do appreciate that. Questions are really fun to try and track down, trying to keep an eye on. Talking about the one world elite situation. First and foremost, people have to realize that a one world government does not mean a dictatorship. Okay, the only way that one world government on any other planet has worked is where different people from different parts of the same world gather, much like the UN, like a UN setup. Okay, and discuss how to deal with things. But they have to look at it from the standpoint of every single individual, regardless of your income. Okay, regardless of that side of it, is of the same equal value. Now, that said, if NATO were to give up and let everybody go and do their own thing, Greg, how you doing? We could have a very big problem here. Now, do understand, I am of my own outlook on this. I've seen it done before. Bear in mind, I remember my lifetimes, many of them. And when we take a look at a one world government, okay, that is where everybody looks at the world as a first world country, where nobody is a third world country. Okay, you're all equal. And the thing with the elites is the way to cure the problem of the elites is quite literally to stop looking at them and referring to them as elites. Yes, they have more money. Okay, and mankind has given itself the idea that if you got more material stuff, you're worth more than the next person. Problem with that, 10,000 years ago-ish? Okay, Egypt got it through their heads. The pharaohs came out and said, hey, we're better than everybody. So we're going to take all our material stuff with us. All of this physical stuff, we're going to take into the next world. Now, you'll notice the Egyptian pharaohs died out. And the stuff that they took with them into the burial chambers is still there. Okay, this is where things got a little screwy. Okay. Now, honestly, I don't personally follow the politics of the world. Okay, I find that they are very, shall we say, a little twisted. Now, one of the things I do have to remind people of is this. Okay, when we start looking at each other as equals, when we restart the idea of communicating with each other in a positive fashion, in an equal fashion, this is when your crime, your famine, your real discord is going to start coming to a close. Now, we had this 50,000 years ago. We had world peace. Okay, we had it with over 10 billion people on the planet. Okay, and yes, I'm talking because of the fact that, well, frankly, I remember my life then. And who have we got coming in here? Robert Smith, how you doing? And we have God's Marine. Well, honestly, God's Marine, and this is something I've asked people before. Okay. Where it comes to the heavy-duty religious side of it, I am willing to open that door if people tell me that that's what they'd like me to open the door on. But to start with, God's will was real simple. Okay, when this planet was put together, when this planet was built and people were built, and the people were built here. Okay, number one, God's will was simple. I'm going to give you this planet. I'm going to create bodies for you to experience the physical world, the third dimension, in a physical body with limited senses. Okay, now the idea was very simple: get along. Okay, but you were given free will. You were given freedom of choice. So, as long as you're exercising free will, freedom of choice, and you're following three simple rules, take the 10 Commandments and compare them to these three. Okay, be true to yourself first. Do unto others as you desire them to do unto you. Energy out, energy in. If you take a look at the 10 Commandments in the Christian Bible, in my case, I can speak for the King James Version. Okay, if you look at the commandments in the Church of Latter-day Saints Bible, in the LDS Bible, in the Mormon Bible, in the New Life, in the Church of Satan, the Cree belief structure, the Bhagavad Gita, the Quran, many of the, like I said, in the Witch's Bible, all of those guidelines fall inside those first three, including the ones that are laid out when you're dealing with people in NA or just pulled a complete blank, AA. There we go. All of those laws fit into the first three. Okay. And the reality behind that is, as long as you are exercising those laws, you will get back the world that you're aiming for. The reality is God going to come down, or is an alien going to come down and collect it up and collect some of you up and go, oh, you're special, so we're going to pull you out of this mess? The answer is no. Okay. You were given free will. It is up to mankind. Okay. And that mankind, by the way, means men, women, and children. Okay. Doesn't matter your gender. Doesn't matter what you feel and what you relate to. Okay. Now, the reality of it is, okay. I'm very tempted, and I'm going to ask something here. Okay, guys, because this is a dicey one for me. Okay, we have a problem here with God's Marine. Okay, now I'm very tempted at this point, because whether or not you believe that 50,000 years ago existed, okay, I'm guessing, and this is the last thing I'm going to say about it, because right about now, God's Marine, I'm almost tempted to disconnect you. Okay, because here's the reality. There's a lot of people in here that believe in a lot of different things. And I got no problem with anybody's belief for the most part. But I'm presuming that you feel that the world's only 6,000 years old, and therefore dinosaurs also never existed. That's all a hoax. Okay, now with that said, okay, if you believe that, you're more than welcome. Okay. Well, that depends. I know of a couple of, and you're saying here, we all bleed the same color. I saw somebody that was bleeding black one day. They didn't live very long. Black is a bad color for your blood. But guys, I do apologize. Like I said, I'm very tempted. Okay. God's will. I hate doing this, but you're going to take a break for a little while. Hopefully, you'll come back when you're not going down that road for a bit. You are more than welcome to your own belief. You absolutely are. But to tell everybody else that they are not welcome to theirs, that is not the way it goes. Oh, there we go. Now, my apologies, guys. That's the first time I have ever done that to anybody. Okay. That is the first time I have ever shut somebody down. But the reality is, now, the fact is, there's a lot of you guys that believe whatever you believe. Okay. Now, I would love to know, in your guys' opinion, and yeah, I realize my channel, I'm allowed to do what I will. The question I'm asking is, was this the right move from your standpoint? Well, here's the thing, Alicia. And by the way, welcome to the chat room. Okay, the best I can tell you, because I do not personally watch the news, period. Okay, I don't even have the news I turn on ever. I haven't in probably 15 years. But Alicia Dawn is asking, why were the people in hazmat suits testing each other with a handheld meter in Ohio? Okay, something to understand about hazmat suits. They only work to a certain degree. But when you're testing everybody around you with the meters, what you're actually looking at, okay, is the hazmat suits are not as solidly useful as what they're hoping. Okay, and don't get me wrong, hazmat suits and the guys that operate inside them, absolutely a necessary thing. Okay, people are working, these scientists are working with stuff that is absolutely dangerous. There's no question there. Well, I do appreciate the support, guys, because the reality is I know I've got pagans in this room. I know for a fact I've got Christians in here. There are Jewish people in here. And Lord knows how many others. Okay. Now, personally, and I've made this very clear, personally, do I believe in God? Absolutely. Do I believe in Christ? Absolutely. But this does not mean that mine is the only belief structure out there. I was told one day very clearly, if you really desire to understand what's going on, learn what the other people are looking at. Okay. Learn what other people are seeing. Thanks so much, Carl. Carl just goes, well, Keith, now you've had your first troll. The neat part about it, from my standpoint, that's one of those things I really do not like. The idea is very simple. Everybody has to have a way of looking at the world. But if you refuse to be open-minded, you're not going to see much of it. It's like I've told people. I was asked one day, what is the punishment for a liar? Okay. Well, the punishment for a liar is honestly not that people won't believe them. The punishment for a liar is that the liar will not believe anybody else. And this is why I say, from your guys' standpoint, one of the things, and we find it in Dave's chat room over in Spaced Out Radio, we do find that people are sitting there, the people come in and they desire to ask questions that are, albeit a little difficult on occasion. But, the reality of it is that everybody has questions. And I don't have a problem with answering questions for the best, And yeah, D-Worm, that brings right back to mind the idea of Mantis in Guardians of the Galaxy. Knives, yes, I love knives. Actually, I believe it was I like knives. And as you've seen, I play with the dang things. Okay. Only I don't play with the little ones. I used to actually have a sword, but this is the kind of knife I like playing with. No, I do not shave with this. I slit my throat one day quite by accident with I slit my throat quite by accident with a electric razor. And when I talk about splitting it, I mean I slit it all the way from here down to here. Fortunately, I missed the jugular. Well, it depends on what your questions are. And obviously, if Dave censors them, you're asking questions that may create a complication. Now, I will tell you, one of the things Dave and I have discussed a number of times, okay, just to clear that up, okay. Oh, they always do. The one thing that I have found is I don't do the politic thing. Okay, I don't watch the politics, so when people start asking about politics, okay, I run into an interesting issue. I don't have an answer. Okay, that's just the way that goes. And Lou Elizondo. Now, I got to ask a really stupid question. Okay. Is this by any chance the one that I keep hearing about, people talking about, the Louis Elizondo that is all over elsewhere? Okay. Oh, James, the answer to your question there was actually quite simple. Okay. And it started out when you take a look at it from my memory, okay, when Christ came into the picture. Now, the Catholic Church had already started to what was the word I'm looking for? It already started to form itself. Okay, it was simply a way for people to explain the inexplicable at the start. They came to the understanding that, they came to the belief that God created the world, that it was one God. And I will tell you, there's a couple of neat little kinks in that. But what ended up happening is they turned the original idea was to help people feel a little bit more comfortable, with the unknown things that were going on. What do you got? Okay. Now, James, this is one of those things that, James Damon is saying, no, that's not how it came about. I can show you. And that being said, well, yes, Cain killed Abel. And, there's no question there. James, we are going to go down an interesting path on this. One of these days, and you guys get to pick which one. If somebody wants to go down this road, we can. Okay. But there are some massive misunderstandings here that are what are creating the reason that the Catholic Church is so badly fragmented. The Christians and the entire Christian faith is badly fragmented. Okay. See, now, one thing I want to get back to is we're going to come away from the religious side of this altogether for the moment. If you guys do desire to have that whole topic dealt with, I will pick a day, or more to the point, you guys can let me know which day you'd like, and I'll be more than happy to talk to you. Okay, years ago, okay, well, we're not listening to that side. This is going to be our night to remember, isn't it? So we're going to do the exact same thing. Okay, because the reality is, guys, if you desire me to go down that road, okay, and tangle with where the misconceptions are, I don't have a problem. Okay, the problem that I'm having is this. Everybody is entitled to their own view. There's no question here. Okay. But what we have to realize is, sadly, this is something I've seen come up before. Okay. When we look at the world, we have to realize we have 8 billion people on this planet, a little over 8 billion right now. There are multiple different ways that the world has been, that people have learned to look at the world. And the reality is, if you desire to look at, if you really desire to know what's going on, you've got to be willing to look at all of the possibilities, or at least consider them. Yeah, I'll tell you, D-Worm, this is a really bad night from my standpoint. And I knew it was going to happen sooner or later. Okay. The fact of the matter is, I've put them on timeout. If I have the same problem again, I will simply ban them, block them from the site altogether. Okay, and then they come in a different name. So I'm going to have to, you guys, if you'd be kind enough to do me one really, really big favor. Okay, keep an eye open when you see somebody like that coming in. Let me know. Okay, because we really, I'm thinking I don't like them much, because it derails the whole 9 yards. But I will tell you this, just to really tick people off, when I wrote this, actually I didn't do it to tick them off. When I wrote this book, when I wrote the original story, and I read that last week, the original story combined creationism, evolution, science, magic, ancient races, off-worlders, okay, and many other things, all conveniently under one comfortable roof. Trust me in this case, Philip, missing a troll is not a really bad idea. I would have loved to have been able to continue on with no trolls, but guaranteed it was going to get them sooner or later. Of course, the first time somebody mentioned a troll to me, I'm like, bear in mind, I'm a gamer. Okay, I play D&D. Now, needless to say, if I'd told this individual that, there would have been all heck to pay. Because I got told when I was a kid, when I first started playing Dungeons and Dragons at 13 years old, right then I was told I was playing with the devils in the devil's playground. The fact that I was playing with Ouija boards and tarot in the middle of a Bible Belt didn't really help things. What do we got? Hey, Paul, how you doing? Quite frankly, I didn't see it come in, but there was a staggering stream of people that came in all in one shot. Glad you could join us. He's just saying there are 7 paths, 3 on the right, 7 paths, 3 on the right with pride, 1 in the middle, humble and narrow, and 3 on the left, evil. 1 million in one. Well, I cannot read today. Apparently, there are. Well, no, do not do that. There are 7 paths. 3 on right pride, 1 in middle humble, narrow 3 on left, evil. 1 in middle humble, narrow you go to the next place. Yeah, well, that's what I was thinking, YJ. Friend of mine used to go fishing, only he took dynamite. Of course, you gotta remember the guy was an explosives expert as well. That wouldn't surprise me. And the reality of it there, Philip, from my end, is I'll take your word for it. In all fairness, I figure there's enough problems going on. Going in and looking up what all of the problems are is almost counterproductive because it can be summed up in one thing: do unto others as you desire them to do unto you. Okay. When you do that, if you're treating people the way you desire to be treated, things have a tendency of working out a little more effectively. Okay. Now, this is not to say that my way of looking at the world is the only way. As a matter of fact, it's certainly not. And this is why I make absolutely certain, yeah, Grey Rock, I actually do. My son still has one. I'm still a firm believer that trolls are really big, ugly things in their own way that regenerate like you would not believe. Okay, I could have sworn. Now, James, I'm only going to ask you politely once to let go of this line of thinking for the moment. You can keep it to yourself, no problem. Okay, this is unfortunately where the reality is. And this is the first one that I'm going to really create a problem. Bye-bye. Have a good night. Okay. Yeah, James was very, very polite. He goes, no, I can't. Well, don't get me wrong, I've got no problem with James. But this is not the James Damon show. Okay. This is for you guys. Okay, this is where questions. Okay, does anybody have any idea how to remove this chap? I got an interesting question, guys. James, you're not even being polite anymore at all. Okay. Reflecting. I'm just looking to do that just now here. Well, Okay, I hit remove, but I'm not seeing a block here. Unless I am looking at something a little funny. Ah, that might be it. Okay, this is just annoying. Okay, unfortunately, this man has absolutely destroyed the whole back end of this. James, if this is what your God is teaching you, there is something seriously wrong with your belief. Now, I don't get annoyed with people very often, but you've gone way past functional. Wish I could figure out how to fire this guy out because he has just absolutely annoyed me to the point that I would like to block him completely. This kind of behavior is childish beyond belief. In case you hadn't noticed. Because I cannot find, and this is where technology becomes a problem. Thank you so much, D-Worm. I really appreciate that. Where are we here? I nominate you, make Philip. I'm going to put it to you this way. YJ just said, I nominate you to make Philip a moderator and he could do it for you. And to that question, where did Philip go? Philip. Philip, it's been suggested I bring you in as a moderator. The question I have for you, okay, that answered that. Now I think that can be done this way. Where are we? Add as a managing moderator. Well, considering I don't know what one is or the other, I'm going to pop you in as managing moderator because, quite frankly, I'm completely at a loss there. I do appreciate the help, guys. That was, to say the least, annoying. What is this? Pink Poodle. Yeah. You know, the funny part about it is, from my standpoint, yeah, that was just plain annoying. You know, and I don't get that way, in case you hadn't noticed. Thank you so much, Philip. I appreciate that. Now I just got to figure out exactly what a moderator is doing. I mean, don't get me wrong. I definitely needed the help. This is obvious. Okay. The reality of it from my standpoint is I, frankly, admittedly, do not know tech very much at all. Okay. It's a bit of a scramble for me from that end. And that said, I do apologize for that mess, guys. Oh, you missed a disaster. Okay. Where are we here? Nathan. There's a chap by the name of James Damon that, frankly, I don't want in here. Okay. And apparently he's still in here. Is there some reason this genius is still in here? Okay, well, that was an excessively disappointing night. Problem at the end of the night here. But with that in mind, congratulations, James. You have proven beyond a shadow of a doubt to me, okay, that you are about as useful as a screen door in a submarine. Thank you so much, Philip. And guys, I really hate to bring this to a close, especially on this note. You guys were fantastic tonight. You really were. Couple of annoyances. And this one, if I can figure out how, if I can figure out how to fire this guy out the window, as far as out of this room permanently, I would. Unfortunately, if somebody can figure that out, that'd be great. I've tried that, and unfortunately, I'm not finding a way to ban him at all. I hit remove, and he keeps coming back in. Putting him in timeout. This guy does not think and doesn't care about anybody except him. And sadly, with that end, okay, what do we got here? Yeah, sadly, I do not know how to deal with that. Okay. But that said, we are over the 2-hour mark, and we have found a person that the second that somebody figures out how to block him out altogether, care to do me a favor and drop me a line and let me know? Okay. Because I would love to ship this one down. This one I've got no use for. I don't have a lot of use for a lot of people, but you guys have been phenomenal. Oh, great. Well, let me put it this way. If I can't stop this genius, he will accomplish one thing. And that is he will end up shutting down my site. So if that's his idea of what God's will is, I'll tell you, he worships the God that I've got no use for. Okay, none at all. This man is absolutely useless. James, you came to lie to people, and you came to start a fight. Now, that's enough. I've got no use for you. You can go away. Okay, I will talk to people, figure out how I can get rid of you because you're useless to anybody. Now, that said, guys, I hate to bring this to a close at this point, but this guy has made it absolutely untenable because what he's doing, not a problem there, YJ. Glad you could make it. Well, he's definitely a problem. So if you guys can figure out how to remove him, that'd be great. That being said, okay, I am going to bring this to a close. Okay, I am going to find a way. I'd love your help, guys, to figure out a way to remove this problem permanently because he's absolutely useless. Okay, he's absolutely useless. With that in mind, thank you so much for joining me, and I will be back again tomorrow. As a matter of fact, in all fairness, I'll be back here in a little while. And if you guys can figure out how to block him because he's absolutely pointless. James, have you got an IQ above 3? Because look at your own freaking Bible. The dang thing's been mistranslated. Look at two different Bibles. The same Bible, 2 different years. Okay. Take a look at it and you'll find they're changed. In all fairness, Beachy, if I could figure out how to block him, I would. I've already shut him down a couple of times. He's coming right back in. And this could create a major problem. But with that in mind, yeah, I will call Dave as soon as I get off of this before I get back on and let him know what I'm dealing with. He may have an answer. I'm hoping so. Anyway, guys, I'm going to bring this to a close. Thank you again so much for joining me. Well, no. I appreciate that, YJ. You know, I really do appreciate it. Give D-Worm a wrench? I'm not quite sure what that meant. You know, I'm presuming that makes sense to somebody out there. Oh, D-Worm, Keith, let me have a wrench for a minute. Now, you do realize there, D-Worm, that I don't actually go, like I said, I don't believe in the violent side of things. I mean, I know it happens. Okay. But this is just absolutely stupid. So, yeah, I will get on the horn to Dave. See if I can catch up with him about this. And see if there's a way, like how to go about blocking him, how to ban him. But, of course, the genius will come back in on another name. I know this. That said, I've got other things I've got to do. Thank you so much, guys. And I will catch up with you again. Until then, please take care of yourselves and each other. And for pity's sakes, stay positive.